The bridge of the Harmony's voice hummed with soft light and gentle music. Ambassador Velshara stood at the center of the circular command deck, her crystalline body catching and reflecting the glow from dozens of displays. Around her, members of 15 different species worked at their stations. Some had tentacles, others had multiple eyes, and a few floated in specially designed gravity fields. But all of them shared one thing: they had never known war. The Galactic Concord had existed for 12,000 years. In all that time, across 847 member species, there had been peace. Perfect, unbroken peace. When species joined the Concord, they brought their art, their science, and their philosophy. They never brought weapons because weapons were not needed. Velshara adjusted her translation matrix and spoke. Her voice came out as melodic tones that the computer instantly translated for every species present. Communications Officer Trill confirmed the source of these signals. Trill, a being that looked like a floating mass of purple gas contained in a bubble, pulsed with excitement. Confirmed, Ambassador. The signals originate from the third planet of this yellow dwarf star. The inhabitants call their world Earth. They call themselves humans. A ripple of interest moved through the bridge crew. A new species was always cause for celebration. The Concord had not encountered a pre-contact civilization in almost 200 years. The discovery process was something Velshara had trained for her entire life. But this was her first time leading a first-contact mission. Play a sample of their transmissions, Velshara said. The main display flickered to life. It showed images of humans moving, speaking, and interacting. They were bipedal creatures with soft skin and hair on their heads. They wore colorful coverings and lived in vast cities made of metal and glass. The audio played a mixture of sounds, music, voices, and what seemed to be entertainment programs. Velshara watched carefully. The humans seemed pleasant enough. They smiled often, and many of their broadcasts showed them helping each other. There were images of humans healing the sick, teaching children, and exploring their world. She noted that they had only one variety of body type. Unlike some species that had multiple forms, all humans seemed to share the same basic shape. Science Officer Kren, what is your analysis? Velshara asked. Kren was a reptilian being with 8 eyes arranged around his head. He manipulated several holographic displays with his clawed hands. The humans are quite young, Ambassador. They discovered radio transmission only 240 of their years ago. They split the atom 180 years ago. They have barely left their home planet. A few orbital stations, one small base on their moon, nothing more. Have they achieved faster than light travel? Velshara asked, though she suspected the answer. No, Ambassador. They are still limited to chemical rockets and early ion drives. By our estimates, they are at least 500 years away from developing quantum-fold technology on their own. Velshara nodded. This was typical. Most species needed help to make the jump to true space travel. That was one reason the Concord existed, to guide younger species into the galactic community. What about their social development? She asked. Kren's display shifted to show maps of Earth with different colored regions. They are divided into approximately 195 separate governmental units, which they call nations or countries. These nations have different languages, cultures, and leadership structures. There is no unified world government. Also typical, Velshara said. Most species unify after contact. What about their temperament? Are they suitable for Concord membership? Kren hesitated, and that made Velshara pay attention. Kren never hesitated. There are some concerning elements in their historical broadcasts, Kren said slowly. The humans have engaged in frequent conflicts. They have a concept they call war, where different groups of humans fight each other using weapons. Several crew members made sounds of confusion. The translator struggled with the concept for a moment before finding equivalent terms in various languages. War? Velshara asked. You mean organized violence between groups of the same species? Yes, Ambassador. The records are extensive. The humans have had thousands of these wars throughout their history. Some were small conflicts between neighboring regions. Others involved their entire planet and killed millions of their own kind. The bridge fell silent. The idea was almost impossible to grasp. Why would a species fight itself? What possible benefit could come from killing your own people? But this is historical, correct? Velshara asked. They have moved beyond this primitive behavior? Kren manipulated his display again. The last major planetary conflict ended 80 years ago. Since then, conflicts have been smaller and less frequent. However, they still maintain large military forces. All major nations have standing armies equipped with weapons. What kind of weapons? Velshara asked. Projectile weapons that use chemical explosions to fire metal fragments at high speed. Explosive devices. Aircraft that drop bombs and... Kren paused again. They possess nuclear weapons, Ambassador. Devices that use atomic fission and fusion to create massive explosions. Velshara felt a chill run through her crystalline structure. Nuclear weapons. The Conquered had records of such things from ancient times, before the Great Peace. A few species had developed them during their early atomic age, but they had quickly abandoned such terrible devices once they understood the consequences. How many of these weapons do they possess? She asked quietly. Approximately 13,000 nuclear warheads spread among 9 different nations, Kren said, each one capable of destroying a city. Some are much more powerful. They have enough nuclear weapons to destroy all life on their planet several times over. The bridge crew exchanged worried glances. This was unusual. Most pre-contact species had a few nuclear weapons at most, and only for peaceful purposes like mining or asteroid deflection. However, Kren continued, they have not used these weapons in combat for 80 years. It appears they developed them, recognized the danger, and established agreements to prevent their use. This shows wisdom and restraint. Velshara considered this. Yes, the humans had created terrible weapons, but they had chosen not to use them. That was a good sign. Many young species went through a dangerous phase before reaching maturity. The Conquered was there to guide them through the final steps. What is the AI's assessment? Velshara asked. The ship's artificial intelligence spoke with a calm, neutral voice. Analysis of human culture, technology, and social development indicates a Category 3 pre-contact species. Recommendation: Standard first contact protocol with elevated caution due to the presence of nuclear weapons and historical violent tendencies. Probability of successful integration into Galactic Conquered, 73%. 73% was good. Not excellent, but good. Velshara had seen worse odds turn into wonderful partnerships. Very well, she said, straightening her posture in a gesture that indicated decision. We will proceed with first contact. Communications Officer Trill, prepare the standard greeting package. Include translations in all major human languages. Science Officer Kren, compile a presentation on Conquered benefits, medical technology, clean energy, educational resources, and entertainment archives. Yes, Ambassador, both officers responded. Velshara moved to the central platform and activated the long-range visual sensors. The image of Earth appeared before her, floating in the darkness of space. It was a beautiful world, swirled with white clouds over blue oceans and green-brown continents. It reminded her of dozens of other worlds she had seen, each one unique but all of them precious. Helm, set course for Earth, she commanded. Standard approach vector. I want us in orbit within 3 solar days. Make our presence obvious but non-threatening. Broadcast friendship signals on all frequencies. Course laid in, Ambassador, the helmsman replied. The Harmony's voice began to move, its quantum drives pushing the ship across the distance to Earth. Velshara watched the planet grow larger in the display and felt a mixture of excitement and concern. She accessed her personal log and began recording. Ambassador Velshara, personal notes, Mission Day 74. We have discovered a species called humans on a planet called Earth. They are young, barely beginning their journey into space. Like many young species, they have a violent history. They have developed nuclear weapons and maintained them far longer than expected. However, they show signs of maturity and wisdom. They have not used their most terrible weapons in 80 years. They have reached out into space with curiosity rather than aggression. Their broadcasts show creativity, compassion, and a desire to understand their universe. She paused, choosing her words carefully. I believe the humans will benefit greatly from Conquered membership. They need guidance to move beyond their violent past. They need to see that cooperation is better than competition, that peace is better than conflict. We will show them a better way. In time, they will abandon their weapons and their wars. They will join the community of peaceful species and add their unique perspective to our collective knowledge. Velshara ended the recording and returned her attention to the bridge. The crew worked efficiently, preparing for first contact. They checked translation matrices, verified that all safety protocols were active, and rehearsed their presentations. Everyone was excited. A new species meant new art, new music, new ideas. The Concord would grow stronger with the addition of human creativity. Ambassador, Trill said, the greeting package is ready. We have translations in 200 human languages and dialects. The message explains who we are, where we come from, and offers friendship and knowledge. Excellent work, Trill, Velshara said. When we achieve orbit, we will broadcast to their major population centers. Based on Kren's analysis, we should contact their largest governmental bodies, the United Nations, the United States, China, the European Union, and Russia. These appear to be the most influential human organizations. What if they respond with fear or hostility? Asked one of the junior crew members, a young being from a species that had only joined the Concord 300 years ago. Velshara turned to address the entire bridge crew. Fear is natural when encountering the unknown. We expect the humans to be afraid at first. That is why our approach is slow and careful. We broadcast our intentions clearly. We make no sudden moves. We offer gifts of knowledge with no demands in return. Fear fades when beings see that we mean no harm. And if they point their weapons at us? The junior officer pressed. Their weapons cannot harm this ship, Kren said confidently. Our shields can absorb anything they might fire at us. Even their nuclear weapons would barely register on our defense grid. We are in no danger. Velshara nodded. We are safe, and more importantly, we are here to help. The humans do not know it yet, but this is the most important day in their history. Today they learn they are not alone in the universe. Today, they take their first step toward joining the great community of peaceful species. Today their future changes forever. The Harmony's voice continued its journey toward Earth. On the bridge, the crew made final preparations. In the cargo holds, gifts waited to be presented. Medical devices that could cure human diseases, energy generators that could power their cities without pollution, and educational databases containing the collected knowledge of 847 species. Velshara looked at Earth again. Such a small planet, she thought. Such a young species. They would need time to adjust, time to learn, time to grow. But that was fine. The Concord had all the time in the universe. They would be patient with the humans, guide them gently, and help them leave behind their violent ways. After all, that was what the Concord did best. They brought peace to the galaxy, one species at a time. What Velshara did not know, what her instruments could not detect, and what the Galactic Concord had never learned to look for, was that Earth had already noticed their approach. Deep beneath the surface of the planet, in hidden facilities scattered across every continent, lights were flickering to life. Encrypted communications flew between governments. Secret protocols were being activated, and in a room that existed on no official map, 5 individuals were gathering for an emergency meeting. The humans had been expecting visitors for a very long time, and they were ready. The Harmony's voice slipped into orbit around Earth exactly on schedule. From their position high above the planet, the crew could see the lights of human cities scattered across the dark side of the world. Millions of lights, representing billions, of individual humans going about their lives, completely unaware that everything was about to change. All stations report ready, Ambassador, Trill announced, broadcasting the greeting on all human communication frequencies now. Velshara watched as the transmission went out. The message was simple and clear. Greetings, people of Earth. We are the Galactic Concord, a peaceful federation of 847 species from across the galaxy. We come in friendship to welcome you into the wider community of intelligent life. We mean you no harm. We bring gifts of knowledge and offers of cooperation. Please respond when you are ready. We will wait. The message repeated in 200 different human languages, cycling through English, Mandarin, Spanish, Arabic, Hindi, and dozens of others. Accompanying the words were images, pictures of conquered species working together, building magnificent structures, exploring new worlds, and celebrating their differences. It was designed to be welcoming, non-threatening, and exciting. Transmission complete, Trill said. We targeted their major governmental centers as planned. New York, Washington, D.C., Beijing, Brussels, Moscow, Tokyo, Delhi, and several others. If their communication infrastructure is functioning properly, their leaders should receive our message within seconds. Velshara settled into her command chair to wait. First contact rarely received an immediate response. The humans would need time to verify that the message was real, time to overcome their shock, time to decide how to respond. The standard? Procedure was to wait 24 hours before sending a follow-up message. But within minutes, something unexpected happened. "Ambassador," Kren said, his 8 eyes widening in surprise, "I am detecting a massive spike in electromagnetic communications across the planet. Radio, internet, telephone systems, all showing unprecedented activity." "That is to be expected," Belshara said calmly. "News of our arrival will spread quickly. Humans will want to talk to each other about what is happening." "No, Ambassador, you do not understand," Kren insisted. "This is not normal communication patterns. This is coordinated, encrypted, military-grade signal traffic between every major nation simultaneously. It is as if someone activated an emergency protocol." Belshara leaned forward. "Show me." The main display changed to show a map of Earth, covered in glowing lines, each representing a communication signal. The lines crisscrossed the planet in a complex web, all converging on certain points. Most of the traffic was encrypted with algorithms that even the Concord's computers struggled to break. "They are talking to each other," Belshara said slowly. "All of them. All the nations at once." "But they have no unified government," Trill said, confused. "How can they coordinate so quickly?" Before anyone could answer, alarms chimed softly across the bridge. Kren's station lit up with warning indicators. "Ambassador, I am detecting high-energy readings from multiple points on Earth's surface and in orbit. Human military satellites are repositioning. Ground-based radar installations are tracking our ship. And—" he paused, manipulating his display frantically. "They are targeting us with some kind of directed energy systems. Nothing dangerous to our shields, but they are definitely targeting us." Belshara felt something she had not felt in a very long time. Uncertainty. This was not how first contact was supposed to go. Species either responded with joy and wonder, or they responded with cautious curiosity. Sometimes they were afraid, yes, but that fear was disorganized, chaotic. This was different. This was organized. This was a military response. "Are we in any danger?" she asked. "No, Ambassador. Their weapons cannot penetrate our shields. But I am surprised they responded so quickly with defensive measures. We have been in orbit for less than 5 minutes, and they have already activated global defense networks. Perhaps they have been planning for this possibility," Belshara mused. "Many species theorize about alien contact before it happens. Maybe they have emergency procedures ready." "Maybe," Kren said, but he did not sound convinced. Minutes passed. The communication traffic on Earth remained intense. Belshara watched. As military aircraft took off from bases around the world, ships left their ports. Submarines dove deep beneath the oceans. It looked like Earth was preparing for war. But against what? The Concorde meant them no harm. "Should we send a follow-up message?" Trill asked. "Something to reassure them?" "Give them time," Belshara said. "They are processing something unprecedented. We must be patient." But after 30 minutes, something even stranger happened. The communication traffic on Earth suddenly stopped. Not decreased, not slowed down, but stopped completely. For exactly 47 minutes, Earth went silent. No radio broadcasts, no television signals, no internet traffic. Nothing. The bridge crew exchanged worried glances. Belshara had read every report of every first contact mission in Concorde history, and nothing like this had ever happened before. "What is going on down there?" she whispered. "I do not know, Ambassador," Kren replied. "It is as if someone threw a switch and turned off their entire communication infrastructure. But that should be impossible. They have millions of independent systems. No one could coordinate a complete blackout this quickly. Unless they planned for it," Belshara said quietly. "Unless they have been planning for this exact scenario." The 47 minutes felt like 47 hours. The crew watched their instruments, waiting for anything to happen. Some of the younger crew members looked frightened. They had never encountered anything like this before. When Earth's communications suddenly came back online, it was not the chaotic chatter from before. Instead, there was one signal, one transmission, sent on the exact frequency the Concorde had used for their greeting. "Ambassador, we are receiving a response," Trill said. Audio and visual, it is coming from. He checked his instruments twice, clearly not believing what he was seeing. It is not coming from any of the governmental centers we contacted. It is coming from a location in the Atlantic Ocean. But the signal is being routed through multiple satellites to disguise its origin. I cannot determine the exact source. Play it, Velshara commanded. The main display activated, but instead of showing a single leader or a group of diplomats, it showed only text on a black background. The text was in English, one of Earth's major languages. Your hail has been received. Stand by for contact with Earth's Supreme Council. That was all. No explanation, no introduction, no question. Just a simple statement and a command to wait. Earth's Supreme Council? Velshara read aloud. Our research showed no such organization. Kren, did we miss something in our analysis? Kren was already searching through their database of human information. No, Ambassador. I can find no reference to any Supreme Council in any human broadcasts. The United Nations is their closest equivalent to a unified body, but it is not a ruling council. It is a discussion forum, and they specifically mentioned not being contacted at the UN. Could it be a new organization? Trill suggested. Perhaps they formed it in response to our arrival. In 30 minutes? Kren said skeptically. Impossible. The humans cannot even agree on trade policy in 30 minutes. How could they form a new governmental body and give it authority over the entire planet? Velshara studied the message on the screen. Something about it bothered her. The tone was not what she expected. There was no wonder, no excitement, no fear. Just a calm, professional acknowledgement, as if receiving messages from alien spacecraft was something they did every day. How long are we supposed to wait? Asked a junior officer. It does not say, Velshara replied. I suppose we wait until they are ready. Another hour passed. The crew remained at their stations, monitoring Earth and trying to gather more information about this mysterious Supreme Council. But whoever they were, they had erased their digital footprint completely. There were no records, no mentions, no leaks to the human internet. It was as if they did not exist, or as if they existed in a place where normal humans could not see them. I have found something, Kren said suddenly. It is not much, but I have been analyzing classified human military communications that we intercepted before the blackout. Most were encrypted, but a few fragments came through. They mentioned something called Site Omega. No location, no details, just a name that appeared in several different military channels. Site Omega, Velshara repeated. What is it? I do not know. But multiple nations mentioned it in their encrypted traffic. It seems to be something they all know about. Something they all have access to. A shared facility, perhaps? How can nations that compete with each other share a military facility? Trill asked. No one had an answer to that question. More time passed. The crew grew restless. This was not how first contact was supposed to feel. They should be celebrating, preparing gifts, practicing their speeches. Instead, they sat in silence, waiting for permission to talk to the humans. Finally, after 3 hours and 17 minutes, Earth sent another transmission. Incoming message, Ambassador, Trill announced. Visual and audio. The origin is the same unidentified location. Should I put it on screen? Yes, Velshara said. Let us finally meet this Supreme Council. The display activated, and for the first time they saw the face of a human. Or rather, 5 faces. 5 humans sat at a curved table, each in front of a blank wall. Behind them, holographic displays showed data that Velshara could not read from this distance. The humans wore identical uniforms, simple black suits with no insignia, no flags, no indication of which nation they represented. They did not smile. They did not look excited or afraid. They looked professional, calm, and completely in control. The human in the center spoke first. His voice was measured and clear. I am Council Member 1, representing war. This is Council Member 2, representing intelligence. Council Member 3 represents science. Council Member 4 represents industry. And Council Member 5 represents diplomacy. Together we are Earth's Supreme Council. Velshara stood and addressed them formally. I am Ambassador Velshara of the Galactic Concord. We come in peace to welcome your species into the wider galactic community. We mean you no harm and offer only friendship and knowledge. The human who represented war nodded slightly. Your message was received and analyzed. Before we proceed further, we require clarification. You claim to represent 847 species from across the galaxy. Please transmit proof of this claim, including current star charts of conquered space, locations of conquered worlds, and specifications of your technology. Velshara blinked, causing her crystalline body to refract light in a flash of colors. That was not how this was supposed to go. She was supposed to offer information, not be asked for it. But perhaps this was a cultural difference. Humans seem to value directness. Of course, she said. We will transmit our standard information package. It includes everything you requested. One more thing, the human said, and Velshara thought she detected something in his tone. Not anger, not fear, but something else. Something that made her uncomfortable. Before you arrived in our system, where were you? What route did you take to reach Earth? We came from the Andromeda relay station, Velshara said, not understanding why that mattered. We traveled for 74 days to reach your world. The 5 humans glanced at each other. Some gesture passed between them. Some communication that Velshara could not interpret. Finally, Council Member 5, the one representing diplomacy, spoke. She was a younger human with dark skin and intelligent eyes. Ambassador Velshara, I have a question. When exactly did you detect our radio signals and decide to visit Earth? Approximately 104 days ago, Velshara answered. And when did you enter our solar system? 6 hours ago. The human smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who had just confirmed something they already suspected. Ambassador, she said quietly. Earth noticed your ship 6 hours before you entered our system. We tracked you across interstellar space. We knew you were coming. We have been watching you since you left your relay station, and we allowed you to approach. The bridge of the Harmony's voice fell completely silent. That was impossible. Humans did not have the technology to detect ships in interstellar space. They barely had the technology to reach their own moon. How could they track a ship using quantum drives across light years of space? Council Member 1, representing War, leaned forward. Now, Ambassador Velshara of the Galactic Concord, I will ask you one more time. State your true intentions, and please understand. We will know if you are lying. Velshara realized with a chill running through her crystalline structure that everything the Concord thought they knew about humanity was wrong. Very, very wrong. Velshara forced herself to remain calm, even though every instinct told her that something was terribly wrong. She had conducted hundreds of diplomatic meetings in her career, but never had she felt so off balance, so completely unprepared. Council Member 1, she said carefully, I assure you that our intentions are exactly as stated. We are a peaceful organization. We have come to offer friendship, knowledge, and assistance. The Galactic Concord has existed for 12,000 years without conflict. We do not lie and we do not mean you harm. The 5 humans looked at each other again. More silent communication passed between them. Finally, Council Member 2, the one representing intelligence, spoke. He was an older human with gray hair and sharp eyes that seemed to see too much. We believe you, Ambassador, he said. We do not think you personally mean us harm. However, we have questions about your technology, your history, and your understanding of our species. You claimed we are a primitive pre-contact civilization. You claimed we barely have space travel. You claimed we could not possibly detect your ship. All of these claims are false, which means your intelligence on Earth is either incomplete or deliberately misleading. Incomplete, Velshara said quickly. Not deliberately misleading. We analyzed your public broadcasts. We measured your technology. By all standard metrics, you are exactly where we assessed you to be. Early space age, no unified government, conventional weapons with some nuclear capability. These are facts based on observation. Public broadcasts, Council Member 2 repeated with a thin smile. Yes, I suppose if you only looked at what we allow the general public to see, you would reach those conclusions. That was, after all, the point. Velshara felt her structure grow cold. You deliberately broadcast false information. Not false, the human corrected. Incomplete. Most of what you saw is real. Most humans do live normal lives, completely unaware of what exists beyond their everyday experience. But there are things we keep secret, Ambassador. Things we keep hidden from our own people, let alone from potential visitors from the stars. Council Member 3, representing science, adjusted something on her console. She was a middle-aged human woman with tired eyes. Let me show you something, Ambassador. Something we think you should see. The display behind the council members changed. It now showed a massive facility carved deep into rock. The scale was enormous, easily several kilometers across. Inside the facility, Velshara could see equipment that made no sense. Some of it looked primitive, matching what she expected from humans, but other equipment looked advanced. Impossibly advanced. "This is Site Omega," Council Member 3 said, "one of 17 such facilities around the world. Each is hidden deep underground or beneath the ocean floor. Each is run jointly by every major nation on Earth, and each is dedicated to preparing humanity for exactly what is happening right now. First contact with alien life. That is impossible," Kren said from his station on the bridge. "We scanned your entire planet. We would have detected such facilities." Council Member 3 smiled. "You scanned for energy signatures and electromagnetic emissions. We shield our facilities with kilometers of water or rock, and we use quantum resonance dampers to mask our power usage. Technology we developed 40 years ago specifically to hide from sensors. We knew someone might be watching. We made sure you could not see what we did not want you to see." Velshara struggled to process this information. Why hide? If you had this technology, why not use it openly? Why not explore space? Why not contact us? Council Member 1, representing War, answered. "Because, Ambassador, we learned a long time ago that the universe might not be friendly. We learned that showing all your capabilities to a potential enemy is a good way to lose before the fight even begins. So we hid. We watched, we waited, and we prepared." "We are not your enemy," Velshara protested. "No," the human agreed. "You are not. But we did not know that when we detected your ship. For all we knew, you were coming to conquer us. So we prepared for every possibility, including war." The display changed again. Now it showed space, but not the empty space Velshara knew. This space was filled with human ships. Dozens of them, each one larger than the Harmony's voice. They were sleek, dark, and covered with weapons. "These ships are currently on the far side of your moon," Council Member 4 said. He represented industry, and he looked proud of what he was showing. "We built them in secret over the past 30 years. We used lunar resources to avoid detection. Each ship is equipped with weapons that we designed specifically to fight against unknown alien technology. Electromagnetic pulse cannons, nuclear-pumped lasers, railguns that can fire projectiles at significant fractions of light speed, and quantum disruption mines. We do not know if they would work against your shields, but we were prepared to find out." "You were prepared to attack us?" Velshara asked, horrified. "We were prepared to defend ourselves if you attacked us," Council Member 1 corrected. "There is a difference. We did not and would not fire first, but we would certainly fire second." Kren was frantically scanning the moon from the bridge of the Harmony's voice. "I am detecting nothing, Ambassador. If those ships exist, they are using stealth technology beyond anything in the Concord's database." "They exist," Council Member 4 assured him, "and your inability to detect them is precisely why we built them that way." Velshara needed to sit down, but her species did not sit. Instead, she shifted her weight distribution, trying to steady herself. Everything about this first contact had gone wrong. The humans were not primitive. They were not unprepared. They had been expecting visitors, had prepared for visitors, and had built weapons to fight visitors if necessary. "I do not understand," she said quietly. "How did you develop such advanced technology in secret? Your public broadcasts show your technology level. We calculated your development rate. You should not have these capabilities for centuries." Council Member 3, the scientist, leaned forward. "You calculated our development rate based on public technology. But humanity has always had two technology trees, Ambassador. The public tree is what normal people see and use. Smartphones, electric cars, commercial aircraft. The classified tree is what militaries and governments develop in secret. Stealth technology, cryptography, advanced sensors, and yes, space combat capabilities. For the past 80 years, she continued, since we developed nuclear weapons and realized we were not alone in the universe, a portion of humanity has been working in secret to prepare for first contact. We built hidden facilities. We developed advanced technology. We created protocols and contingency plans. Every major nation contributed resources and knowledge. We competed with each other in public, but we cooperated in secret because we knew that when aliens finally arrived, we needed to present a united front." Velshara's mind raced. This meant everything in the Concord database about technological development was wrong. at least for humans. They had accelerated their progress by hiding half of it. They had deceived not just the conquered but their own people. "Why hide it from your own species?" she asked. "Why not tell all humans the truth?" Council Member 5, representing diplomacy, answered softly. "Because, Ambassador, most humans are not ready. They still fight over resources, religions, and borders. They still have wars, though smaller ones than in the past. If we told everyone about Site Omega and the secret space fleet and the Supreme Council, there would be chaos. Some would be excited, yes, but others would be afraid. Some would demand access to the technology. Others would try to use it for their own purposes. We made the decision to protect humanity from itself until first contact happened. Once aliens arrived, we would reveal everything, but not before." "And now we have arrived," Velshara said. "Now you have arrived," Council Member 1 agreed. "And now we can finally be honest with our own people. Within the next 24 hours, every government on Earth will simultaneously announce the existence of the Supreme Council, the secret facilities, and the truth about what we have been preparing for. It will be the biggest news in human history. Some people will be angry that we kept secrets. Most will understand that we did what was necessary." The display behind the council members changed once more. Now it showed star charts, the same ones that Velshara had transmitted to Earth earlier, but these charts were marked up with human annotations in multiple languages. "We analyzed your star charts," Council Member 2 said. "Very interesting. You have 847 member species spread across this region of space. But we noticed something curious. You have no military bases, no defense stations, no fortified worlds. Your entire civilization is completely undefended." "We have no need for defenses," Velshara said. "We have lived in peace for 12,000 years. No species has ever attacked another species in conquered space. Because no hostile species have entered conquered space," Council Member 2 said. "But that is luck, not strategy. We studied your charts, Ambassador, and we found 17 different approaches that a hostile fleet could use to penetrate deep into conquered space before you even detected them. Your sensor network has gaps. Your communication system has delays. A well-organized attack could destroy dozens of your worlds before you could coordinate a response. And you would have no response because you have no weapons. We have no weapons because we have no enemies," Velshara insisted. "You have no enemies that you know of," the human corrected. "That is different. The universe is vast, Ambassador. Thinking that you are safe simply because you have not encountered danger yet is dangerous thinking. That is the thinking of prey animals. Humans learned a long time ago that safety requires vigilance." Council Member 1 stood up from the table. Behind him, the displays showed more images, more hidden facilities, more secret weapons, more capabilities that should not exist. "Let me tell you what we know about you, Ambassador," he said. "The Galactic Conquered is a collection of peaceful species who have forgotten how to defend themselves. You have wonderful technology. You have amazing culture. You have achieved things that humanity can only dream of. But you have one critical weakness. You trust that the universe is friendly. You believe that because you are peaceful, others will be peaceful too. That is a beautiful philosophy. It is also a fatal one. The universe is not friendly, Ambassador. The universe is neutral. It does not care about peace or war. It does not care about right or wrong. And somewhere out there, beyond your maps and your sensors and your knowledge, there are species that are not peaceful. Species that see your undefended worlds as targets. Species that would conquer you not because they hate you, but because they can. Humans know this," he continued, "because we have been those species in our own history. We have conquered. We have colonized. We have taken what we wanted from those who could not defend themselves. We are not proud of this past, but we learned from it. We learned that strength is necessary. We learned that peace is only possible when you have the capacity for war." Velshara wanted to argue, wanted to explain that the Concord was different, that 12,000 years of peace proved the humans wrong. But looking at those humans, at their calm faces and their hidden weapons and their secret preparations, she felt something she had never felt before. She felt that maybe, Just maybe, the Galactic Concord was not as wise as they thought they were. "What do you want from us?" she asked quietly. Council Member 5, the diplomat, spoke gently. "What we want, Ambassador, is what you offered. Friendship and knowledge. We want to join the Galactic Concord. We want to learn from you. We want to share what we know. But we want to join as equals, not as students. We want a place at your decision-making table, and we want to offer you something that you did not know you needed." "What is that?" Velshara asked. The human smiled. "Protection." The word hung in the air. Protection. The Galactic Concord had never needed protection. The Galactic Concord had never even considered that they might need protection. But looking at those 5 humans, at their careful preparation and their hidden weapons and their clear understanding of the universe's dangers, Velshara realized something shocking. Maybe they did need protection. Maybe they had needed it for a very long time. And maybe humanity was exactly what the Concord needed, even if they did not know it yet. The bridge of the Harmony's voice remained silent for a long moment after the human's declaration. Velshara could feel the confusion and concern radiating from her crew. They had trained for first contact scenarios, but nothing had prepared them for this. Nothing in Concord history had prepared them for a species that hid half of its civilization and offered protection to species far more advanced than themselves. Finally, Velshara found her voice. "Council members, I must ask for clarification. You said your species discovered radio transmission 240 years ago. You split the atom 180 years ago. These are facts confirmed by your own historical broadcasts. How is it possible that in such a short time, you develop technology that rivals and in some cases exceeds our own? The Concord has been developing technology for thousands of years. The mathematics of technological advancement does not support what you are claiming." Council Member 3, the scientist, nodded as if she had been expecting this question. "You are correct, Ambassador. Under normal circumstances, our technological advancement should be impossible. But circumstances on Earth have never been normal. May I ask you a question? In the history of the Galactic Concord, how many wars have been fought between Concord members?" "None," Velshara said immediately. "We have had disagreements, certainly. We have had disputes over resources or territory, but we resolve these through discussion and compromise. We have never fought a war." "And before joining the Concord, how many wars did your species fight?" Velshara had to think about that. Her people's history was so ancient, and much of it was not considered important anymore. "My species had conflicts in our distant past, perhaps a dozen wars over our entire history before we achieved space travel and encountered other species. After that, we realized fighting was pointless and joined the Concord." "A dozen wars," Council Member 3 repeated. "Do you know how many wars humanity has fought?" Kren mentioned thousands in his analysis. Velshara said, 15,364. The human said precisely. "Those are the wars we have written records of. There are probably thousands more that we have forgotten. We have been fighting wars since before we developed writing. We have fought over land, over water, over religion, over ideology, over resources, over insults, over virtually everything that can be fought over. War is written into human history like code written into a computer program." She manipulated her display, and new images appeared behind her. Images of human soldiers throughout history, ancient warriors with swords and spears, medieval knights in armor, modern soldiers with guns and aircraft. The progression was clear and terrible. "Every single one of those wars drove innovation," she continued. "We invented writing to coordinate armies. We invented mathematics to calculate trajectories for catapults and cannons. We invented the internet as a military communication system. We invented nuclear power while trying to build nuclear bombs. We went to space because 2 of our nations were competing to build better missiles. War has driven human technological advancement for our entire existence. And the technology you developed for war you adapted for peace," Velshara said slowly, beginning to understand. "Exactly. Radar was invented to detect enemy aircraft. Now we use it for weather prediction and air traffic control. Rocket technology was developed as weapons. Now we use it to launch satellites and explore space. Computer science was advanced to break enemy codes. Now everyone carries a computer in their pocket. Humans do not just fight wars, Ambassador. We weaponize everything we touch, and then we find peaceful uses for those weapons. Council Member 1 added. But there is more to it than just technological advancement. War also taught us strategy, tactics, and how to think about threats. While your species was developing art and philosophy and peace, humans were developing the science of conflict. We learned how to identify weaknesses. We learned how to exploit advantages. We learned how to win when we were outmatched. We learned how to survive when we should have died. He gestured to the displays showing human military history. Every one of those wars taught us lessons. Sometimes we learned by winning. More often, we learned by losing. We learned from our mistakes, adapted, and tried again. Do you know what humans call someone who never gives up, who keeps trying even after failing? We call them survivors. And humanity as a whole is the greatest survivor species we know of. Council Member 2 leaned forward. Ambassador, let me tell you about something we call the Great Filter Theory. Some human scientists believe that there is a reason we have not encountered alien life before. They theorize that there is some challenge, some filter, that most species cannot pass. Perhaps it is developing technology without destroying themselves. Perhaps it is surviving climate change. Perhaps it is avoiding nuclear war. Whatever this filter is, most species fail to pass through it. They go extinct. Humans have faced filter after filter in our history. We almost went extinct dozens of times. Ice ages, droughts, plagues, wars. Each time, we survived by adapting, by innovating, by fighting. We believe this has made us different from species that evolved in more peaceful circumstances. We believe our struggles have made us stronger. Velshara felt uncomfortable with this line of reasoning. It sounded like the humans were saying that violence and suffering were good things, that struggle was necessary. The Concord believed the opposite, that peace and cooperation were the highest values. Are you suggesting, she asked carefully, that species who have not suffered as much as you are somehow weaker? That the Concord's peace has made us vulnerable? Not weaker, Council Member 5 said diplomatically. Different. You have developed strengths we do not have. Your species cooperate far better than humans do. You share knowledge freely. You have eliminated poverty and disease. You have created art and culture that we can only dream of. These are incredible achievements, and we respect them deeply. But, she continued, you have also developed in an environment with no threats. You have never needed to defend yourselves. You have never needed to innovate under pressure. You have never needed to make the hard choices that come with survival. This means you have capabilities we lack, but we also have capabilities you lack. Such as? Velshara asked. Council Member 1 pulled up a new display. Such as military doctrine. Do you know what that term means? The science of warfare? Velshara guessed. Close. It is the accumulated knowledge of how to fight wars effectively. Humans have been developing military doctrine for thousands of years. We know how to organize forces. We know how to manage logistics. We know how to gather intelligence on enemies. We know how to adapt to changing battlefield conditions. We know how to fight when we are outnumbered, outgunned, and out of options. He showed footage of human military exercises, ships moving in formation, aircraft coordinating attacks, ground troops working together with precision. It was both impressive and disturbing. This is what humans do naturally, he said. This is what we teach our military officers from the day they join. This is knowledge built over 15,000 wars. And this is knowledge that the Galactic Concord does not have because you have never needed it. But we do not need it, Velshara protested. We have no enemies. That you know of, Council Member 2 said again. Ambassador, may I share something we discovered when analyzing your star charts? We found references to 3 species that used to be Concord members but no longer are. Your records say they left voluntarily to pursue different paths. But when we analyzed the data more carefully, we noticed something odd. All 3 species disappeared within a 50-year period about 4,000 years ago. All three were on the outer edges of conquered space. And all three stopped communicating suddenly, not gradually. Velshara felt a chill. She knew what he was implying, but she did not want to believe it. Those species chose to leave. They wanted to explore on their own. Or something happened to them, the human said quietly, something that made them go silent. And because the conquered does not think in terms of threats, you assumed they left peacefully. You never investigated. You never sent ships to check on them. You just accepted that they were gone. That is speculation, Velshara said, but her voice lacked conviction. It is, Council Member 2 agreed. But it is the kind of speculation that keeps species alive. We humans have a saying, hope for the best but prepare for the worst. The conquered hopes for the best, and that is beautiful. But you do not prepare for the worst. That is dangerous. Council Member 4, representing industry, added his own perspective. There is also the matter of economic efficiency. Ambassador, your technology is wonderful, but it is not optimized for mass production or rapid deployment. We analyze the specifications you transmitted. Your ships take years to build. Your equipment requires rare materials. Your manufacturing processes prioritize quality over quantity. These are good things in peacetime, but in wartime they would be fatal. Humans have learned to build quickly and efficiently. We learned this because we needed to. In our last major global war, we built thousands of aircraft, millions of weapons, and entire fleets of ships in just a few years. We did this because we had to, because the alternative was defeat. We learned to turn entire economies toward production. We learned to use common materials instead of rare ones. We learned to build things that were good enough rather than perfect. He showed graphs comparing human production capability to Concorde production estimates. The differences were staggering. Humans could build in months what would take the conquered years. If war came to the conquered, he said, you would not be able to adapt quickly enough. Your economy is not designed for it. Your manufacturing is not designed for it. Your entire civilization is designed for peace, which is wonderful until someone brings war. Velshara wanted to argue, wanted to defend the conquered's philosophy, wanted to explain that they had chosen peace deliberately after seeing the cost of conflict. But looking at the evidence the humans presented, looking at their hidden preparations and their rapid development and their strategic thinking, she could not find words. Council Member 5 spoke again, her voice gentle but firm. Ambassador, we are not trying to insult the galactic conquered. We are not trying to suggest that our way is better than yours. What we are trying to say is that we are different, and that difference could be valuable to you. You have built a civilization based on cooperation and peace. That is beautiful. But you have also created a civilization with a single point of failure. If someone comes along who does not share your values, you have no way to defend what you have built. Humans can be that defense. We can offer you our strategic thinking, our military doctrine, our rapid production capability, and our experience with conflict. We can help you identify threats before they become critical. We can help you prepare for scenarios you have never considered, not because we want war, but because we know how to prevent it. In human philosophy, she continued, there is an old saying, si vis pacem, para bellum. It is in an ancient language called Latin. It means, if you want peace, prepare for war. The Concord wants peace. We can help you prepare for war so that you can keep that peace. Velshara stood silently, processing everything she had heard. Her entire worldview was being challenged. Everything she believed about civilization, about progress, about the nature of intelligence life, was being questioned by these young, violent, brilliant humans. What you are describing, she said slowly, is a fundamental change in how the conquered operates. We would have to accept that the universe might be dangerous. We would have to build weapons. We would have to think about defense and strategy. We would have to become more like you. No, Council Member 1 said firmly. You would have to accept that the universe might be dangerous. But you would not have to become like us. That is the point of cooperation, Ambassador. You keep doing what you do best, building culture, sharing knowledge, exploring peacefully. Let us handle the ugly parts. Let us watch the borders. Let us prepare for threats. Let us be the shield that protects your peace. You do not need to become warriors. You just need to accept that warriors might be necessary. He stood up from his seat, and the other council members stood with him. Ambassador Velshara, we offer you a partnership. Earth will join the Galactic Concord, but as a defense specialist. We will share our technology and our expertise. In return, we ask for access to your knowledge and your resources. We ask for a seat at your decision-making table. And we ask for the authority to do what we do best: protect those who cannot protect themselves. The 5 humans looked at her with expressions that were neither hostile nor friendly. They looked professional, competent, and absolutely serious. "Take our offer back to your Concord," Council Member 5 said. "Discuss it with your leadership. We will wait for your answer. But understand this: whether you accept our offer or not, we are going to the stars. We are going to explore. We are going to build. We are going to grow. The only question is whether we do it as your allies or as your neighbors. We would prefer to be allies." The transmission ended, leaving Velshara staring at a blank screen. Around her, the bridge crew sat in stunned silence. Finally, Kren spoke. "Ambassador, what do we do?" Velshara did not answer immediately. She thought about 12,000 years of peace. She thought about 847 species living in harmony. She thought about everything the Concord had accomplished without violence, without weapons, without war. And then she thought about those 3 species that had disappeared 4,000 years ago. She thought about the 17 vulnerabilities in Concord defenses that the humans had found in ours. She thought about the fact that Earth had detected their ship before they even entered the system. She thought about the universe, vast and dark and unknown, and she made her decision. 6 weeks had passed since the first contact with Earth. 6 weeks of intense discussion, debate, and sometimes heated arguments within the galactic Concord. Velshara had transmitted everything back to Concord Central: the recordings of her meeting with the Supreme Council, the data on human capabilities, the analysis of Concord vulnerabilities, and her own recommendations. The response had been mixed. Some species were excited about the humans and their unique perspective. Others were concerned about inviting a militaristic species into their peaceful federation. A few were outright hostile to the idea, calling humans dangerous warmongers who should be quarantined to their own system. But one thing had changed the debate dramatically. When Concord scientists actually investigated the 3 disappeared species, they found something disturbing. The worlds were empty. Not abandoned, not destroyed, but empty, as if entire populations had simply vanished without warning or explanation. The Concord had not investigated at the time because they assumed the species had left voluntarily. Now, faced with the possibility that something terrible had happened, they were forced to confront uncomfortable questions. What if the universe was more dangerous than they believed? What if their peace was not because they were wise, but because they were lucky? What if the humans were right? Now Velshara stood once again on the bridge of the Harmony's voice, preparing to transmit the Concord's decision to Earth. She had reviewed the message a dozen times. It was not exactly what the humans had asked for, but it was close. It was a compromise, which was what the Concord did best. "Open a channel to Earth's Supreme Council," she commanded. The display activated, showing the same 5 humans at their table. They looked exactly as they had 6 weeks ago. Calm, professional, and completely in control. Velshara wondered if they ever showed emotion. "Ambassador Velshara," Council Member 5 said in greeting, "we have been expecting your transmission. Has the Galactic Concord reached a decision?" "We have," Velshara said. She took what would be considered a deep breath if her species breathed. "The Galactic Concord has debated your proposal extensively. After careful consideration, and after conducting our own investigation into certain historical anomalies, we have decided to accept Earth as a member species." The 5 humans showed no reaction. They simply waited for her to continue. "However," Velshara said, "we have concerns about some of your terms. You asked for equal membership immediately. You asked for a seat on the Concord Security Council, which does not exist because we have never needed one. You asked for authority to make defense decisions without full Concord approval. These terms are difficult for us to accept." Council Member 1 leaned forward slightly. "And yet you said you accept us." "I am curious about the conditions." Velshara displayed the formal proposal on the screen between them. "Earth will join the Galactic Concord with full membership rights. You will have access to all Concord knowledge databases, technology, and resources. In return, you will share your knowledge with us, though we understand that some military secrets may need to remain classified for security reasons. This is acceptable. Additionally, the Galactic Concord will create a new position that has never existed before: Defense Coordinator. This position will be held by Earth and will be responsible for analyzing security threats, recommending defense protocols, and coordinating protection for conquered space. You will have the authority to build defense stations, deploy monitoring satellites, and establish rapid response forces. However, any military action must be approved by the Concord Assembly unless there is an immediate threat that requires instant response. She paused, watching the humans' faces for reaction. Still nothing. They were very good at hiding their thoughts. Finally, she continued, Earth will be granted a permanent seat on the Concord High Council, which is our main decision-making body. You will have equal voting rights with the founding species. This is unprecedented for a new member, but we recognize that your unique expertise makes you a special case. What you will not receive, at least not immediately, is independent authority to make decisions for the entire Concord. We are a democracy and all major decisions must be voted on. We understand that this may slow down response times in a crisis, but we believe cooperation and consensus are worth the extra time. If you prove your value over time, we are open to expanding your authority. Velshara finished and waited. The 5 humans looked at each other, having one of their silent conversations. Finally, Council Member 2 spoke. You investigated the 3 disappeared species, he said. It was not a question. We did, Velshara admitted. You were right. Something happened to them. We do not know what, but the evidence suggests it was not voluntary. This discovery has made many in the Concord reconsider their assumptions about the universe. Good, the human said. Understanding that danger exists is the first step toward preparing for it. Council Member 5 looked at the proposal carefully. Ambassador, this offer is close to what we requested, but not exactly what we hoped for. We understand the need for democratic processes, but we are concerned about the approval requirements for military action. What happens if we detect a threat and need to respond immediately? But the Concord Assembly cannot reach a decision quickly enough. That is a valid concern, Velshara acknowledged. We have discussed this extensively. The compromise is that you have full authority to respond to immediate threats without approval. However, you must report your actions and reasoning to the Assembly within 24 hours. If the Assembly disagrees with your actions, they can override your authority, but you will not be punished for making decisions in good faith during a crisis. What defines an immediate threat? Council Member 1 asked. We will work together to establish clear parameters, Velshara said. But in general, any situation where delay would result in loss of life or significant damage to Concord assets would qualify. We trust that Earth will not abuse this authority. The 5 humans had another silent conversation. Then surprisingly, Council Member 1 smiled. It was a genuine smile, not the professional mask he usually wore. Ambassador Velshara, you have learned something important in these 6 weeks. You have learned to think like a strategist. That clause about immediate threats is a loophole large enough to fly a battleship through. If we wanted to, we could justify almost any action as responding to an immediate threat. You are trusting us not to abuse that power. Yes, Velshara said simply. We are trusting you. That is what the Concord does. We trust our members to act in good faith. If you betray that trust, then our partnership was doomed from the beginning. But if you honor it, then we have the foundation for something remarkable. Council Member 5 smiled as well. You are wiser than you think, Ambassador. Very well, we accept your terms. Earth will join the Galactic Concord as defense coordinator, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. There is one more thing, Council Member 4 said. You mentioned that we would have access to Concord resources for building defense infrastructure. We have already begun designing plans for what we call the Guardian Network, a series of sensor stations, rapid response bases, and defensive platforms to be positioned throughout Concord space. We would like to begin construction immediately. How immediately? Velshara asked cautiously. We have already identified 17 critical positions that need coverage. We can have preliminary stations built and operational within 6 months if we have access to Concord manufacturing facilities and resources. Full deployment of the Guardian network would take approximately 5 years. Kren spoke up from his station. Ambassador, that is an extremely aggressive timeline. Concord construction projects typically take decades to plan and implement, which is part of the problem, Council Member 4 said bluntly. No offense intended, but your construction methods are designed for peacetime projects where speed is not a concern. We need to build quickly, because every day that Concord space remains undefended is a day that something could go wrong. We will work with your engineers, of course. We will share our rapid construction techniques. But we need to move fast. Velshara considered this. It went against every Concord instinct to rush such an important project. But the humans had already proven that their instincts were different and in some cases better. "Very well," she said. "You may begin the Guardian Network project. But we will assign Concord observers to work with your teams. They will learn your methods and they will ensure that your construction meets safety standards." "Is that acceptable?" "More than acceptable," Council Member 3 said. "We want you to learn our methods. Part of our purpose is to share knowledge, not just build things. If we teach Concord species how to build quickly and efficiently, then everyone benefits." Council Member 5 stood up from the table. The others followed her lead. "Ambassador Velshara, on behalf of Earth and humanity, we formally accept membership in the Galactic Concord. We pledge to defend all member species, to share our knowledge freely, and to work toward the common good of all intelligent life. We are honored to join your federation." Velshara felt a wave of emotion that surprised her. Despite all the concerns and debates, despite the strangeness of this first contact, she felt that something important was happening. Something that would change the Concord forever, hopefully for the better. "And we are honored to welcome you," she said. "Earth is now officially the 848th member of the Galactic Concord. Welcome to the family." The next few months passed in a blur of activity. Human ships began appearing throughout Concord space, no longer hiding but flying openly. Concord citizens were initially alarmed by the sleek, weapon-covered vessels, but they quickly adapted. The humans were professional, polite, and absolutely dedicated to their mission. The Guardian Network began taking shape faster than anyone thought possible. The humans worked alongside Concord engineers, teaching them rapid construction techniques while learning Concord material science and energy systems. The combination of human speed and Concord technology produced results that neither could have achieved alone. True to their word, the humans shared everything they learned. They taught military strategy to species who had never needed it. They taught threat assessment to analysts who had never considered threats. They taught rapid response protocols to security forces who had never responded to anything more serious than a lost cargo ship. And slowly, gradually, the Galactic Concord began to change. Not dramatically, not violently, but meaningfully. They kept their peace, their cooperation, their commitment to knowledge and culture. But they added something new: awareness, preparedness, the understanding that peace was not guaranteed, but something that needed to be protected. 6 months after Earth joined the Concord, Velshara visited one of the Guardian Network stations. It orbited a beautiful blue planet inhabited by a species of peaceful aquatic beings who had been Concord members for 3,000 years. The station was impressive. A ring of sensors, weapons, and living quarters that could house a crew of 50 from multiple species. She met with the station commander, a human named Captain Elena Rodriguez. The captain showed her around the facility, explaining the sensor arrays that could detect ships at incredible distances, the weapons that could defend against threats, and the diplomatic suite where negotiations could take place if needed. "Our job," Captain Rodriguez explained, "is to make sure nothing bad happens to the people on that planet below us. Most days that means watching sensors and running drills, but if something ever does happen, we will be ready." "Do you think something will happen?" Velshara asked. The captain looked out at the stars through a large viewport. "Honestly, Ambassador, I hope not. I really hope not. But hope is not a strategy. Hope is what you do when you have no other options. We prefer to have options." "You humans have certainly given us more options," Velshara said. "Not just military options, but ways of thinking. Before you arrived, we believed that peace came from everyone choosing peace. Now we understand that peace comes from making other choices unprofitable or impossible." "That is a very human way of thinking," Captain Rodriguez said with a smile. "You are learning." As Velshara left the station and returned to her ship, she thought about how much had changed. The Concord was still peaceful. They still valued cooperation and knowledge. But they were no longer naive. They no longer assumed the universe was safe just because they wanted it to be. And perhaps most importantly, they were no longer alone in facing whatever might come. They had allies who understood danger, who knew how to fight, who would stand between the innocent and whatever threats lurked in the darkness of space. She accessed her personal log one final time to complete her report on the first contact with Earth. Final report, Ambassador Velshara. Regarding first contact with species designated human, planet Earth, 848th member of the Galactic Concord. Initial contact did not proceed as expected. The humans were not the primitive, unorganized species we anticipated. They had been preparing for first contact for decades and possessed capabilities far beyond what their public technology suggested. They challenged our assumptions and forced us to reconsider our understanding of safety in the universe. After extensive debate, the Concord has accepted Earth as a member species with special designation as Defense Coordinator. This decision was controversial but necessary. The humans bring capabilities we lack and perspective we need. In the 6 months since formal contact, humans have proven their value repeatedly. They work efficiently, share knowledge freely, and show genuine commitment to protecting all Concord members. The Guardian network they are building will provide security we never knew we needed. More importantly, they have taught us to think differently, not to become violent like their history, but to become aware of the possibility of violence, not to seek conflict but to be prepared for it, not to abandon our peaceful nature but to protect it with strength. I now believe that encountering humanity was the best thing that could have happened to the Galactic Concord. We contacted Earth expecting to welcome children into the stars, teaching them to be peaceful like us. Instead, we found the guardians we never knew we needed. We found the species that would stand watch while we sleep. We found against all expectations exactly what the universe required from us. Humanity has taught us a final lesson. Peace is not the absence of danger. Peace is the presence of those willing to face danger so that others do not have to. The Galactic Concord is 848 species strong. For 12,000 years we were at peace. Now for the first time we are both peaceful and protected. We are ready for whatever the universe brings. Report concluded. End of transmission. Velshara closed the log and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there human ships were patrolling. Human analysts were watching sensors. Human strategists were planning for threats that might never come. And the Galactic Concord, for the first time in its long history, could rest easy knowing that if danger came, they would be ready. Because humanity was watching, and humans never stopped watching.